One of the good friends of the show is Dr. Janine Hubbard. She's a registered psychologist. There's lots of people looking forward to the Christmas season. It does come with a significant amount of stress for some. It's not all cheery and merry for some as well. So navigating the holidays with your mental wellness being considered. Dr. Hubbard, right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to the program. Let's begin this morning on line number one. Say good morning to registered psychologist, our friend Dr. Janine Hubbard. Dr. Hubbard, you're on the air.
Good morning, Patty.
Good morning to you. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's lovely to be back.
Right off the bat, a personal question. Are you stressed over the holidays?
Always.
Yeah,
but I think it's important for people to remember that excitement is a positive form of stress, but it's still stress. And I don't know anyone who kind of gets through this period of time without feeling a little overwhelmed, without feeling whether it's that perfectionism need or just there are so many things and commitments and there aren't enough hours in the day. And, those are feelings that we all have.
When you talk about don't achieve the perfection that you had in mind for your Christmas dinner or the party or what have you, you'll be the only one that knows that you didn't hit the target. Your guests won't know and won't care.
No, and you know what? I actually had a conversation with a family member recently, and it was hard, but it was received well, where I was able to say, you know what? None of the rest of us enjoy the day if we know that you were super stressed. We would far rather do something much more low-key, much more casual, and have you just sit down and join us and hang out and not be running around. So I think that's an important reminder for all of us, because it's really easy to get caught up in the expectations, and they usually are our own. You're absolutely right. Same thing, we get caught up in expectations around gifts, especially for our kids. I'll tell you what, if you ask kids what do they remember best about past years or events or experiences, it's usually not the super expensive gifts. It's the, hey, do you remember the year that the cat knocked over the Christmas tree? Or, we had a power outage and we had to go and, do a frozen pizza at a neighbor's place. Those are actually the things that kids remember, not the picture-perfect Christmas.
There's so many reasons why people might feel the Christmas stress, and I think that's a good point you made, that excitement does indeed come as a form of stress as well. And I don't know if there would be different approaches or comments coming from you regarding, say, for instance, for someone who's got the fear of missing out. Because we see all the pictures on social media, the big, bright, cheery parties, what have you. It might be cost of living. It might be isolation that causes you the Christmas stress, because you see all the other families, gathering and having a great time, and you might be isolated and alone, and that comes with a very significant and very different type of stress. So let's talk about isolation. Are there certain things that you should talk? How should we talk about it?
Well, I think it's acknowledging it. I mean, we've actually had loneliness declared a health emergency by the U.S. Surgeon General. So we know that this is a time of year where it is often felt most acutely. And I think if you are someone whose life circumstances has changed this year, whether there's been a loss, whether you're not able to be with family, doing some mindful techniques, such as if you need to limit some of your time on social media so that you're not feeling left out. Because also remembering, no one is posting the video of, parents fighting in the back room and all of the other stresses and unpleasantries that can go into the day. They're only posting the picture-perfect artificial version of things. So partly keeping in mind that what you're seeing isn't reality, but then planning something. For some people, it's maintaining a few of the traditions or things that are special, even if you're doing it by yourself. For others, it could be doing something completely different. It's kind of like the counter-programming I do every year for the Super Bowl, and I watch, the cheesiest, most musical spectacle possible. If you're not feeling it, don't watch all the Christmas movies. Don't feel the pressure to decorate. Do what feels right for you. And that could be reaching out and saying, hey, you know what? Actually, I'm feeling kind of lonely. Could we go for a walk, or could we grab a cup of coffee? Or it could be just embracing the space and finding something to do that's meaningful and special for yourself.
And I would imagine if I'm on the receiving end of that call, I'll be understanding it, because I would have felt one or two or three or four or all of the above of those feelings myself. So, people are ashamed maybe to talk about that they are kind of feeling left out, or they are struggling to pay the bills, or they are, isolated, or they can't have a party, or they're unwell, or they've experienced loss in the past year. But these are these are human characteristics that virtually all of us share.
And we're often ashamed, as you said, to raise them. But yeah, you know what? If you want some company, you would be amazed if you put that message out. The number of people say, "Oh my goodness, of course! I just assumed you had something else happening." Or same thing. I think everybody this year is having a very candid conversation about finances, and looking to change things up a little bit and say, "Look, I know we have done a gift swap in the past." Or we've done, we've gone out for a fancy dinner or whatever. You know what? My finances are tight this year. I'm guessing you're probably feeling the pinch as well. And just putting it out in the open. And you would be amazed at how relieved people are with that.
There's a lot to the season. I personally look forward to it, but I guarantee you between now and when it all wraps up on New Year's Day, I'll experience some episodes of anxiety and or stress. So hopefully these tips that you're providing me will also be of benefit to the listeners. Anything else you'd like to say about the season or overall what we're feeling? Because I don't think we even broached the fact that, and I'm as sick of talking about respiratory illness as anybody else in this world. But, there might be some of that associated stress. And you might want to say, I don't need or want to go to that party because, I have already had it once. I don't want to be reinfected with something or other. How do you, should we be just as open and honest with our people who invited us, say, I can't come because I'm worried about this or that? Because that brings along an associated shame and embarrassment as well, because no one wants to be fearful of COVID because we're tired of COVID, even though COVID's not quite done with us.
No, and I mean, it's not even just COVID. Nobody wants to be sick over the holidays.
Sure.
And we are far more vulnerable because, remember, we talked about that good stress. That still puts wear and tear on our bodies. We're not engaging in our regular, physical activities and exercises. We're probably getting a little less sleep. We're maybe not eating quite as balanced a diet as we might otherwise. We might be consuming some more adult beverages. So just remembering that we are more vulnerable, but you hit on the key topic, which is boundaries. And this is incredibly hard, but trying to set some of those boundaries in terms of what you're comfortable with. And if someone in your network is setting boundaries like that, please respect them. They're not intended to you personally. It's actually nothing about you. It is about that person getting through the holiday season and being able to enjoy it in whatever capacity that looks like for them. So please, if someone is stepping out and saying either I can't afford something or I can't attend, but I'd love to do something else later, or can we look at alternatives, please respect that took a lot of courage to come out and set those limits and boundaries with you.
Last one. How important, regardless of how you're trying to navigate whatever the source of stress is, how important is it simply to get outside?
Oh, my goodness. Fresh air. I'm a big believer, especially in big days where there's a whole lot of social activities. It's really easy for all of us to get overwhelmed and a little dysregulated. And so if whether it's just you on your own in the middle of a big day and you're feeling overwhelmed and it's I'm going to walk around the block or I'm going to go take the dog for a walk. But getting that fresh air, that exercise, if you've got a sunny day, we all know that vitamin D exposure is awfully good for us. Just bundle up so that, for the conditions. And yes, please make sure you're getting a balance of activities over the holidays, including just some quiet time.
Bit of quiet time is good for the soul. Dr. Hubbard, as usual, really appreciate you making time for the program this morning. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you and yours.
Well, to you as well, Patty, and thank you so much for the time.
My pleasure. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Dr. Janine Hubbard, registered psychologist. Let's take a break. When we come